Hey there! Ready to dive deep into self-motivation?
Always.
We're exploring this book. It's got like 100 different ways to fire up that inner drive.
It's fascinating. It goes way beyond the surface level stuff, gets into the psychology of motivation, offers all these practical strategies you can use right away.
So right off the bat, the book jumps into self-creation.
Yeah. We're not just like products of our circumstances, right? We can actually shape our own lives.
Totally. I love how it compares the universe to fresh snow, untouched. Every choice we make, every action, it's like leaving a footprint in that snow, shaping our world.
It's a powerful reminder that we're not just along for the ride, we get to make the path.
It's like that Michelangelo quote, every block of stone has a statue inside it, and it's the task of the sculptor to discover it.
Except here, we're both the sculptor and Dee the statue.
Right. And the book gives us the tools to sculpt ourselves, so to speak. Like the story about Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, yeah, his vision becoming a Hollywood star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was so bold, declaring he'd be the top box office star. I mean, the guy was a bodybuilder with a thick Austrian accent at the time.
He didn't just wish for it, he had a vision. And that's key. The book hammers that home. You create your vision. Don't wait for it to just appear.
It's like have that clear picture, then go after it with everything. Then it gets really cool. It suggests writing a lie poem about your ideal self.
Lie poem. That's a new one.
It's like writing about yourself, but as if you've already reached all your dreams, even if it feels kind of far-fetched right now.
So tricking your mind into believing it's already true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The book says our subconscious, it doesn't really separate fantasy and reality. So those positive images, they can actually guide our actions.
Interesting.
And get this, it's not just like mystical stuff. There's real science behind it. Visualization is powerful.
So we're tapping into the power of our minds to achieve our goals. The book goes even further, though, right? It tackles affirmations. How effective are they really?
Not as much as action, it argues. Words are one thing, but actions speak way louder.
Got it. Can't just say you're confident and got to do things that actually build that confidence.
It's like claiming to be a basketball pro but never touching a ball. The book pushes us to shift from I can't to I haven't yet.
Subtle shift, but big difference in how we think.
Huge. Like learning to dribble, you might not be amazing at first, but practice gets you there. It's not that you can't, it's that you haven't mastered it yet.
Makes sense. Now, what surprised me was the emphasis on fun. The book actually encourages us to sing our hearts out, dance like no one's watching, embrace joy.
Right. It's not all grind and hustle. Joy and playfulness, they're powerful motivators too.
So laughter, singing, dancing, they release those feel-good brain chemicals, endorphin.
Totally. That quote stuck with me. If it's not fun, you're not doing it right.
It reminds me we need breaks, got to recharge, can't be on all the time. Finding balance is key.
And speaking of our brains, the book dives into the whole left brain, right brain thing.
Oh yeah, left side, analytical, logical. Right side, creative, intuitive. How does it connect that to motivation?
Well, it talks about how crises, they can actually activate whole brain thinking. Logic and creativity working together.
Makes sense, like a parent suddenly finding the strength to lift a car to save their child. In those moments, logic and creativity combine to overcome the impossible.
Exactly. The book says we can tap into that same power by setting clear goals, doing work that feels meaningful and challenging. It compares the left brain to a machine that makes gold coins, but we often don't use it enough. We have so much potential just waiting to be unleashed.
That's a powerful image. Makes you want to unlock all those possibilities.
So how can you use all this knowledge in your life?
It offers so many techniques. Having a clear vision is a big one, and breaking those big goals down into smaller steps.
Like a roadmap to success. Reminds me of definitely planned work. Taking action based on a plan, even when you don't feel like it. Not just reacting to whatever comes up.
And those smaller steps, the book calls them process goals. They help keep us on track, build momentum toward those bigger goals.
It's like that old saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Yeah. Makes it less overwhelming, right? Another key theme is reframing problems. See challenges as opportunities to learn and grow.
Yes. There's that quote, your problems contain the seeds of your greatest triumphs. Setbacks can be valuable if we choose to see them that way.
It's asking ourselves, how can I use this whenever we face a challenge? Shifting from complaining to problem solving, seeing opportunity in obstacles.
It tells this story. A father, his daughter comes home late. Instead of anger and worry, he uses it to reflect on their relationship, finds ways to communicate better.
Turning a negative into a positive, that's powerful. And it connects to the idea of always being curious, loving to learn new things.
Yes. Approach everything with curiosity. Always have questions ready, like a detective seeking clues.
Staying engaged, always learning from the people you meet.
Lifelong learning. Connects to the book's point about human imagination in our world today. It even quotes Bill Gates. Our company has only one asset, human imagination.
Knowledge is power, but it's more than just what we know. It's about creativity, adapting, constantly learning.
Absolutely. And for self-motivation, the book stresses truth and honesty, not just morally, but as a key for personal growth.
What's interesting is how it links truth to beauty, uses that Keats quote, "Truth is beauty."
Right. It's saying honesty. It brings clarity and makes life more beautiful, more fulfilling.
I really connected with Nathaniel Brandon's view on honesty.
Yeah.
It boosts self-esteem. It's a gift to yourself, not just something you do for others.
It's building that self-trust, self-respect, and that's the base for self-motivation.
Absolutely. Now, the book talks about mentors and heroes, their role in our lives.
It explains how having a coach isn't just for learning skills. It's about seeing your strengths and weaknesses clearly, like an outside perspective. Even Tiger Woods, at his peak, had a coach.
That's amazing. Even the best need guidance.
And it's not just formal coaching. It's finding those people whose lives inspire you, learning from them.
Right.
Not worshiping, but understanding they were once ordinary people who did extraordinary things.
Finding inspiration in their journeys.
Now, another key concept is holding your vision accountable. It's not just what it does, but what it does for you.
Right. Does it energize you? Does it make you want to take action?
If not, maybe it's time for a new vision, one that truly resonates.
That's where Robert Fritz's idea comes in. Creating versus problem solving. We get so caught up fixing problems, we forget to actually create the life we want.
We need to shift our thinking, not just what do I want to get rid of,
Yeah.
but what do I want to create?
Proactive, not reactive.
It's taking ownership, becoming the architect of your own life. And the book challenges that common problem-solving focus. It's not just putting out fires, it's designing the life you desire, being on the on switch,
Yeah.
positive, proactive, creating your future.
That's a great way to put it. Being on. It's a choice.
Yeah, absolutely. We can be passengers or we can be drivers.
And that choice, that decision to be on, it's fueled by knowledge. The book emphasizes how important knowledge is, both for self-motivation and just personal growth.
It's like having a toolbox full of strategies and techniques. The more tools you have, the better equipped you are for whatever life throws at you.
Makes sense. And one of the most powerful tools, it seems, is that connection between truth and beauty.
Yeah, the book reframes honesty, saying it's a source of beauty. The truth brings clarity and wholeness. It makes life more beautiful, more fulfilling.
It's a reminder that being true to ourselves and others can create a ripple effect of positivity that goes way beyond just ourselves.
And it offers some practical tips for absorbing knowledge better. Did you know Abraham Lincoln used to read important stuff out loud?
Really?
Yeah, engaging multiple senses, it helps the information stick.
That's a great tip. I'm going to try that. It's like learning doesn't have to be boring. It can be multisensory, more effective and enjoyable.
Exactly. Now this one might sound strange, but the book suggests laugh for no reason.
Wait, what? Just laugh, even if nothing's funny.
Yep. It's like what Zen monks do, laughing meditations. The act of laughing, it triggers those joyful feelings.
So it's about letting go of needing a reason to be happy, embracing spontaneity.
And speaking of breaking free, the book ends with a powerful section, Walking with Love and Death.
Wow, that's heavy.
It's about embracing life fully, the good and the bad, knowing our time is limited, and that awareness can make life more meaningful, more vibrant.
Deep stuff.
The author talks about taking long walks, reflecting on challenges, connecting with himself.
That's a beautiful practice, creating space for solitude, introspection, disconnect from the world, reconnect with yourself.
It's all about that journey of self-discovery. True motivation that comes from within.
And accepting that life is constantly changing, growing, evolving. It's amazing how much our internal dialogue shapes our reality.
It really is. And speaking of shaping our reality, the book dives into another fascinating concept. It calls it coming from behind.
Oh, coming from behind. That sounds interesting. Is it about, using challenges as fuel for growth?
Exactly. Recognizing that progress, it isn't always a straight line. There will be setbacks, there will be obstacles, but they don't have to define us.
So it's about reframing how we view challenges, not as defeats, but as opportunities to learn, to grow.
Yes, and to build resilience. The book encourages us to see these coming from behind moments as chances to tap into our inner strength, find creative solutions.
Reminds me of that saying, necessity is the mother of invention. It's often when we hit a problem that we come up with our most innovative ideas.
Absolutely. The book shares some amazing stories of people achieving extraordinary things by overcoming incredible odds.
Mhm.
It reminds us we often have more strength, more resourcefulness than we realize.
It's inspiring to think about all that hidden potential that can be unlocked when we embrace challenges instead of shying away from them.
And this coming from behind mentality, it applies to so many areas of life, including our physical well-being. The book emphasizes keeping our brains active and engaged.
I've heard that, the brain is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
That's exactly what the book highlights. It challenges that old belief that mental decline is inevitable as we age.
So it's about being proactive, taking steps to keep our minds sharp and agile, throughout our lives.
Yes, and there's so many ways to do that. Reading, learning new skills, playing games, even just having stimulating conversations.
It's about challenging ourselves to step outside those comfort zones and keep learning, keep growing. And it can be fun, too.
Absolutely. The book really emphasizes that learning doesn't have to be a chore. It can be an enjoyable and enriching experience.
And speaking of enriching experiences, the book talks about this idea of shifting our inspiration to someone else.
Oh, that's an interesting concept. What does that look like in practice?
It's about focusing our energy on helping others achieve their goals instead of just focusing on our own ambitions.
So shifting the focus from me to we.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that true fulfillment often comes from making a positive impact on the world around us.
And it's a powerful way to shift our perspective from scarcity to abundance, recognizing that there's enough success to go around.
The book even argues we can achieve our own goals faster, more effectively by helping others succeed. Sounds counterintuitive, but it makes sense when you think about it.
I think it's because when we're focused on helping others, we're less likely to get caught up in self-doubt, procrastination. We're more likely to build stronger relationships, create a network of support.
It's like creating this ripple effect of positivity, generosity. And on that note, the book emphasizes something we often take for granted, our breath.
Ah, yes, the power of deep breathing. It's such a simple yet often overlooked tool for managing stress, boosting energy.
The book highlights how our brains need oxygen to function at their best, and deep breathing can help us stay alert, focused, and energized.
Right. And we tend to breathe shallowly, especially when we're stressed, and that can actually deplete our energy.
The book even shares stories of how people like Bobby Fischer, General George Patton, they use deep breathing techniques to enhance their performance. If it worked for them, it's definitely worth trying.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that even small changes to our physical habits can have a big impact on our mental clarity, motivation.
And speaking of support and guidance, the book emphasizes the value of having a good coach or mentor.
So true. Having someone to provide objective feedback, encouragement, it can make a world of difference.
It's not just about learning specific skills. It's about having someone who believes in you, helps you see your potential, even when you doubt yourself.
And it's important to remember that mentorship, it can come in many forms. It's not just about having a formal coach. It could be a friend, a family member, a colleague who offers guidance and support.
It's about being open to learning from others and seeking out wisdom wherever we can find it.
And sometimes the wisest person we can learn from is ourselves. The book talks about this concept of our current habits and routines as our psychic home. It's where we feel most comfortable, but it challenges us to ask, is this home truly serving us? Or is it holding us back?
It's about becoming aware of those, habitual patterns of thinking and behavior and seeing if they're aligned with our goals, aspirations.
We have the power to choose a different home for ourselves, to create new habits, new routines that support our growth and well-being.
And that's where the power of self-talk comes in. It's about becoming more aware of those internal conversations we have with ourselves, making sure they're positive and empowering.
It's so easy to fall into the trap of negative self-talk, especially when we're facing challenges, setbacks.
But the book reminds us that our thoughts create our reality. So by becoming more aware of our self-talk, we can choose to focus on those thoughts that empower us, not limit us.
It's about cultivating that inner cheerleader who believes in us, even when we doubt ourselves.
The book recommends using techniques like sentence completion exercises, journaling, affirmations to reprogram our subconscious minds and create new, more empowering beliefs.
And it also suggests making promises to ourselves and to others as a way to increase our accountability. It reminds me of that story about the casino owner who publicly vowed to quit smoking. By making his commitment public, he increased his motivation to follow through.
It's a powerful example of how we can leverage those external factors to support our internal goals.
Now, on the topic of taking action, the book challenges us to overcome procrastination and get moving, even when we don't feel like it.
It's that classic advice, just do it. Sometimes the hardest part is just getting started.
Right. And often the act of taking action itself, it creates that momentum and motivation.
It's like that feeling of accomplishment you get after completing a task you were dreading. Suddenly you feel more energized and motivated to tackle the next thing on your list.
The book also talks about the power of our social circles and how our relationships can either support us or drain our energy.
It's about being mindful of who we allow into our inner circle and making sure that those closest to us are people who believe in us, inspire us to be our best selves.
And sometimes it's about recognizing when relationships have become toxic, finding the courage to let go of those connections that no longer serve us.
That can be tough, but it's essential for creating that positive, supportive environment where we can thrive.
Speaking of pushing ourselves to thrive, I love the way the book introduces the idea of getting up a game.
Getting up a game, that sounds interesting. Is it about embracing friendly competition as a motivator?
Exactly. It's not about being cutthroat, trying to tear others down. It's about using competition as a way to challenge ourselves, push beyond those comfort zones, and raise our own standards of excellence.
It's like having a sparring partner, someone who helps you sharpen your skills, become more resilient.
The book even shares the story of Michael Jordan being cut from his high school basketball team. And that experience, it fueled his determination to become one of the greatest players of all time.
What a powerful reminder that what we perceive as setbacks can actually be catalysts for incredible growth, achievement.
And speaking of setbacks, the book also encourages us to embrace failure as a natural part of the learning process.
It's about recognizing that failure isn't the opposite of success. It's a stepping stone on the path to success.
It's about shifting our perspective from seeing failure as a sign of weakness to seeing it as valuable feedback. It can help us learn and grow.
It's about having the resilience to bounce back from adversity and to keep moving forward even when things don't go as planned.
And speaking of moving forward, the book highlights the importance of finding and nurturing our own unique gifts and talents.
It's about embracing our individuality and recognizing that we all have something special to offer the world.
It challenges us to let go of that need to fit in, to conform,
To embrace what makes us unique.
Right, true happiness. It comes from expressing our authentic selves, sharing our gifts with the world.
It reminds us we all have something valuable to offer, no matter our background, our circumstances.
It's about trusting our own inner compass, following our passions, even if they don't fit the mold.
And that's where that coming from behind idea is so important. Everyone's journey is different. It's okay to take your own path.
Another big point, the book challenges us to stop seeking validation from outside, to cultivate a stronger sense of self-worth.
True self-esteem, it comes from within, not from what others think.
We need to focus on our own values, our own standards, not on pleasing everyone else.
It's a process. Discovering yourself, recognizing your worth isn't tied to external validation.
The book even encourages us to see our so-called weaknesses as opportunities for growth, for creativity.
Recognizing we all have areas to improve, and those areas can actually become our greatest strengths.
Reminds me of how Arnold Schwarzenegger used his accent to his advantage. What others saw as a weakness, he made it part of his unique persona.
That's a great example, turning perceived flaws into assets.
The book really pushes us to rethink our weaknesses, see them as chances to stand out, to grow.
And that's where coming from behind comes in again. Our shortcomings can be opportunities for innovation, success.
Now, the book also wants us to think bigger, bolder, when we set goals.
Setting ambitious goals, it unlocks this creativity, motivation that wouldn't be there otherwise.
It's about stretching beyond our comfort zones, dreaming big, even if those dreams seem impossible at first.
It tells this great story. A salesman, he's challenged to double his sales. Initially, it's intimidating, but he embraces it, comes up with creative solutions, and surpasses the goal.
It shows how we limit ourselves with those small, safe goals. Aim higher, open up to new possibilities.
Speaking of aiming high, the book highlights having heroes, role models.
By identifying those who inspire us, we can learn from them about self-motivation achievement.
It's not about worshiping them, it's understanding they face challenges too, just like us.
Learning from their journeys, applying their strategies to our own lives.
And the book encourages us to find those heroes in everyday life too, those who embody the qualities we admire.
Surround yourself with positive influences, those who inspire you to be your best.
And now, as we wrap up exploring this book, I keep coming back to that idea of aligning our actions with our values.
It's a powerful message. It's about making sure our choices reflect our deepest beliefs, principles,
Living a life that feels authentic, meaningful.
and being willing to adjust along the way, learning from mistakes, always trying to be our best selves.
It's a powerful reminder that we have the ability to shape our own destinies, making choices that align with those core values.
And it brings us back to that beautiful image from the book, walking with love and death.
Embracing life fully, the highs and lows, the light and the shadow.
Recognizing our time is precious, and that awareness, it can fuel our motivation to live each day to the fullest.
The author talks about his own practice, taking long walks, to reflect, connect with himself, find clarity.
It's a good reminder to create that space for solitude, for introspection, disconnect from the world, reconnect with your inner wisdom.
And to face our fears with courage, knowing we have the strength to overcome any obstacle.
Wow, we've covered so much today. This deep dive, it's been like a whirlwind tour of 100 different techniques for unlocking our motivation.
It's incredible how many ways there are to ignite that inner spark, create a life filled with passion and purpose.
What's really inspiring is you don't have to do it all at once. Start with a small change, a new perspective, build from there.
It's those consistent small steps. Trust that they'll lead to big results.
My biggest takeaway, self-motivation, it's not waiting for inspiration to strike. It's actively shaping our mindset, our habits.
Recognizing we have more control than we think. We can choose our thoughts, our actions, and ultimately the direction of our lives.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's a final thought for you to ponder. If you could design your ideal motivation toolkit, what would be the first tool you'd include? What strategy from this book resonates most with you?
Keep that question in mind, and remember, you have the power to create a life that's meaningful, fulfilling.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of self-motivation. Remember, the journey starts with a single step. And now, you have a whole toolbox of techniques to help you along the way.